Hi, I'm Ashwini Kumar Kota, and today I welcome you to this little video blog on game genres for employee induction gamification. As you can see here, I run this company called Excel Pro Training Solutions Private Limited. We are a company specializing in corporate e-learning, which means if it comes to e-learning for organizations, we do everything from basic modules to games to gamification. Of late, there's been a lot of demand, or I can say curiosity, on e-learning gamification, as in like application of gamification for e-learning. And employee induction is one area where I've seen a lot of action happening. And over the last couple of years, many of my clients have taken up gamified e-learning modules to run their induction programs and are doing pretty well as such. And the response has been very good. On that note, I thought of sharing a few thoughts with you in terms of if you are considering gamifying your training programs or gamifying e-learning programs, especially if you have an employee induction program and you're planning to use gamification for it. How do you start? How do you go about it? There are a lot of thoughts in your mind. I'm sure you're reading up quite a bit on the net too. And while you're doing it, one very important area is what is the game theme or what kind of game should you use? And if you are a person from the L&D department or from the training function, you'll realize that while we talk of games or we talk about gamification, one important thing here is learning. If we get the game right and the learning wrong, the purpose is defeated. So today I'm going to share a few thoughts with you in terms of how to use the right game genre for your employee induction gamification. To start with, are you considering gamification of your induction program? That's a very important question here. If you're considering to gamify, the next steps are important for you. If you're not considering to gamify, you should take a thought or take a look at why am I not considering to gamify my induction program? Because induction is a time when an employee comes in contact with you for the first time. He's become your employee. And that's when, if you give him a right experience, make it enjoyable, highly engaging, and the person understands your organization well, to whatever extent possible, there's a very fair chance that a person will gel well and start performing well in the time to come within the organization. So are you considering gamification of induction program? If you were already considering, great. If you are not, I would request you to ponder on this thought and start considering. Having said that, if you've noticed the last few minutes, a couple of minutes, I've used the word gamified and gamification quite often. And then it is very important for us to take a look at what is gamification before we go deeper into application of gamification. And while there are definitions and games, gamified, serious games, etc., Wikipedia defines gamification as the use of game mechanics and game design in non-game constructs or for non-game constructs. So, which means, simply put, there are certain game mechanics which are like points, badges, leaderboards. There are things which make a game a game. If you take an activity, how does an activity become a game? If you induce something on competitiveness or collaborativeness and use some mechanics and some dynamics into it, mechanics are like certain measures like points, badges, leaderboards, scoreboards, progress bars, and so on and so forth. There are quite a few of them. And that induces a certain behavior in human beings which otherwise would not be induced in the activity. For example, if there's a game called football, imagine there was no scoreboard and there was no just thing called scoring of goals. Ask those 11 plus 11 team members to go and fight for one ball. I think it'll look ridiculous. The moment you put a couple of goal posts and say, okay, you got so many minutes, it's a 45 minutes within that, or you have to hit some goals or put the ball in the net, and it is called scored or a goal scored. And then you see the kind of reactions, and today it's a world event with a lot of billions of dollars of money pumped into it and big fan following and so on and so forth. That is what transforms a small activity into a game. So when we take those game mechanics and use them into non-game constructs, or which are like our activities, like e-learning. E-learning is one such activity which is actually not a game. But when I bring a game construct into it, that transforms the way e-learning happens or induction happens. Going forward from here, if you look at, okay, I'll bring in those game constructs, I'll bring in those elements of the game like mechanics and dynamics and make it highly interesting, engaging. Now my induction, is it ready? Can I put all the stuff into it, make it run? No. It will become technically correct and practically useless if you don't focus on a couple of more areas. One, in technology-driven learning or video games or e-learning games or e-games or any kind of online games, you will realize you got two options. You always got two options. One, play by yourself. Second, play against the other person, or collaborate and play as teams. Now, either you're playing against live individuals or you're playing by yourself. Now, the choice is there in a lot of online games which are like highly engaging and fun-filled. But when it comes to induction, and especially employee induction, I always recommend to go for a single player game where a player plays at the convenience of his time and space without being affected by the outcomes or actions of other players in the system at the same time. Why so? This allows the person to play at his own mental level, own thought process, own peaceful time, and assimilate knowledge and enjoy the experience by being the god of the game at that point of time. If you involve multiplayers, that induces certain behavior which is not always induced by us. It's a player-induced behavior. Multiplayer is good for refreshers and simulations of different kinds of e-learning programs or gamified learning programs. But for induction, I always recommend go for a single player mode where a person plays asynchronously at his own convenience of time and place. Having said that, great, now I got my thought in place. I want to gamify my induction program and I would like to go for a single play game. What next? Your content is in place. I presume your content is in place. Even if your content is not in place, companies like ours have the expertise to put your content together, help you arrange things in a way that it can be gamified. So you don't need to worry about that part. The next thing is choosing a game. When you engage an e-learning company or a company which specializes in gamified e-learning or gamification of e-learning, it is like they can give you a lot of choices, a lot of options. But being the owner of the process or the product, the decision is yours. So how do you choose a game genre? First, the game genre or the type of game what you choose or type of game theme what you like to build around should be highly engaging for your audience. If it's highly engaging for you, it doesn't mean that it's highly engaging for your audience, because you may be a very senior person in the organization like a manager or a VP or a GM or even a CEO. But you were an inductee long time ago. You got inducted, but the times have changed ever since. Some of us may join organizations, even computers were not there in companies, and laptop was the biggest luxury only the CEO used to have. Today, a laptop is like a laptop, everybody has it. That's how the world changes. So today's new joinees, are they laterals? Are they joining across various levels? Are they joining as freshers, as graduates, or how they join? What kind of genre are they? So once you have the people defined, your game genre or the type of game should be highly engaging for a majority of your audience. Having said that, engaging by itself is not a solution, it's a support to the solution. Our main agenda is higher the engagement should lead to higher retention of what the person is learning. If the gamified module is highly engaging and wow, great game, enjoyed theme, picked up and a lot of social action, but eventually we do not see the learning happening or the person is not able to retain, and after a month of time when you go and ask who is the CEO of the company, and people say, yeah, he was there at that point of time, I scored a 10 on his name, but what's his name? If he hasn't got it, you missed the bus, because it is like operation success, patient died. You don't want to end up in a situation like that. Why? Because engaging is there to help you maximize retention and recall. Higher retention and higher recall. I remember, but I can't recall, doesn't work out. So how we weave the whole thing is use a theme which makes it engaging. Engaging makes a person to engage or involve the process, all the while the subconscious learning is higher and conscious learning supports the person to focus on increasing retention and recall. At that juncture, or at this juncture, I feel it right to share a few game genres for employee induction, which we have been very successful in many companies. And of course, you can choose any genre you want. There are quite a few genres. I'll be mentioning 5 popular ones right now. And if you want to know more, always at the end of this module, there's my contact details are there. You can always call me, speak to me, mail me. I'm there to discuss with you. But here are these 5 popular genres which do well in induction. And if you take a look at them, you might click on something or a thought which might be interesting for you. The first and foremost I've seen working wonders in most cases is adventure-driven games. All of us, how much of an active, lively, moderate or boring personalities we are, back of the mind there's always a spirit of adventure. Everybody, every human being who's alive has got a spirit of adventure which kicks up at some point of time or the other. You go into a forest, you jump out of a cliff, you do certain things. Some of us might not be as adventurous as that, but we do have our own ways of looking at adventure. So element of adventure addresses the subconscious needs of quite a few people. So if you put an adventure-based theme, there's a higher probability that the people will be more engaged, more adventure as we go by. The second thing is simulation. Many organizations have products or processes which an employee has to follow. So simulating a certain environment always helps a person to get a good feel about it. If you have a gamified model with a simulated experience of something, as we're flying the aircraft or doing something, or simulating an activity which otherwise a person does not do, it always works wonders. Puzzles. Some organizations hire intellectuals who are like very much into solving things. If majority of employees are that kind of a genre, puzzles driven, a theme with a lot of puzzles always helps you. Action. If you see some games are there where a person is running, shooting, flying, doing a lot of action, and that kicks up things. There's a lot of action. In addition to adventure, there's always an action which people have in their subconscious mind. So action-oriented games are also pretty hot, and so are sports. When you use a sporty theme, like take a cricket kind of a thing, modify it completely, make it work for you, then here what happens is the person is able to relate to something he loves in real life. So the virtual life and real life are coming close to each other. So these are 5 of the many game genres which I've come across, which I've found somewhere are quite popular amongst organizations and employees in terms of their ability to transform a classroom-based induction program into highly engaging gamified e-induction modules. 5 are in front of you, many more are not in front of you, but which one is the right one for you? Which one is the right one for you? That's the golden question. Taking a look at these 5 points here, you can't just throw a dart and make a decision. Okay, my dart hit puzzles, so let me start the puzzles world. It doesn't work like that, because behind you is an organization with a lot of culture and a lot of elements into it. With you are a set of employees who are joining you to experience a company and make their careers with you. And here you are going to make a decision for them based on certain aspects. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to step into the world of adventure, share a few thoughts with you in terms of how you can transform your induction program into a highly adventure-driven, theme-based gamified induction module. And subsequently, I will not, of course, I'll not take too much time in this video. I'm going to share some more thoughts on simulation, puzzles, actions, and sports in my subsequent videos. So let's look at adventure today. First and foremost, I don't need to define adventure, because if you're already at a particular level in the organization, you've achieved a certain age, and from childhood till date, there are a lot of adventures which you've done. I'm sure adventures and misadventures also, but we'll focus on adventures. So the element of adventure is not new to us, but how to use an adventure-based theme in our e-induction module. So first and foremost, the theme is usually set in a fantasy world. Adventure themes are usually set in a fantasy world. So what does a fantasy mean? Something which is not real. It could be space, it could be mythology, or it could be a make-believe world around an industry. Just on a comical note, if you're in the chocolate business, you'll always recall Charlie the Chocolate Factory kind of a thing. There's always a forest you can create where magical things can happen, but all it relates to the thought process of the prospective employees and the culture of the organization. The theme is usually relevant to the content collection, that is a subject matter we talk about. As I mentioned the examples, you can have space, you can have ancient fortresses, you can have island, you can have a period in time. You can say in the year 10,000 BC, something happened and you landed up over there. If you look at one of the samples on my website, excelprotraining.com, you will realize there's a section where we have kept a few samples, and there's always also a section where we have got these gamified modules. You will see a time management module which actually focuses on time travel as a theme. So you make a mistake, you go back 1,000 years and something happens to you. Do something right, you come back 100 years, something else happens to you. So we've used those themes successfully, and they've been pretty well in the market, running well in the market. Similarly, you can use a theme which matches your culture. Second, there's always a background story. Adventure-driven games or gamified modules usually start with a background story. In the year so and so, something happened, or this did not happen, and the story weaves up into the beginning, and the person actually starts engaging. The person is oriented into feeling a part of the story. Then there's always a lead character, preferably, because if a learner has to behave like a player and engage with the module, there has to be a lead character which the person associates with. So he makes the character do something, go somewhere, pick up something, move somewhere, which eventually enables the person to reach a certain goal, which enables our learner to achieve the learning objective. So always have a good lead character which our learner associates with. And in most of the modules, what we make, we give options of lead characters. There's a male character, there's a female character, there's a middle-aged character, there's a young character. So what happens is we do not have a situation, or rather we should not land up in a situation where the learner as a player is not able to relate to the lead character. So we should have characters matching the learner's thought process. Now the player helps the lead character to achieve his goal by figuring out how to complete the mission. So an adventure always has a goal or a mission. While our objective is the learner's learning, the objective of the learner as a player is to make the character achieve a particular goal or a destination or complete a mission. Now you can think from anywhere, from a space to an ancient fortress to a time travel, imagination beyond imagination, but that's exactly where we come in. So if you have a thought, we can build upon that. We as in like my organization or companies like ours which are specializing in this kind of field, if you do not have a thought, we can work with you, understand your organization, the culture, the facts, the case, and come back with themes which people might enjoy based on their experience. Having said that, the world of adventure is always riddled with certain things which may happen wrong. If you climb Mount Everest, yes, you are probably bound to reach the summit, but you might also end up as one of the bodies on the way to the Mount Everest, which have become markers or landmarks on the way of people. Well, you made an attempt. So we don't land up in a situation where something goes wrong unexpectedly. So a word of caution is, while adventure-based themes are highly engaging, the obsession with adventure can lead to delinking or lack of focus on learning. This is the big risk. Over-obsession with adventure, if you enjoy something so much, you should not forget the purpose for being there. The purpose is learning while engaging in an enjoyable manner. Give a dose of adventure to enable the person to learn comfortably and engage and enjoy, but an overdose of adventure and underdose of learning can topple the apple cart, and the person might enjoy everything and learn something or nothing. So this is a balance which every professional has to strike. The designers who design these gamified modules are entrusted with the responsibility to ensure this balance is right. And the tricky part is you will not come to know of it when you deliver the module or when you pick up the module from a vendor or you do it yourself. You come to know of it only after a long time of using it. That's why we always recommend use prototypes. Start with a prototype, test in the market, and then see how it's coming in, and then go on making adjustments to it and fine tune it so that you don't run the risk of highly engaging and practically useless module. So a little cluttered screen, but I want to put all those things on the screen in one shot so you can take a look at it in one go. Even if you don't have much time, one glance will help you here. So if you're creating an adventure-based theme for Gamified Induction Programs, here are simple 5 things you're required to do. Step 1, clearly outline the content and know your organization's culture. The content is with you. Outline the content. If you don't have the whole content, it's okay. Your organization's culture, is it clear? Great. Next, brainstorm on the themes. Don't just jump onto a theme because you love the theme. There was a prospective client I was meeting a year back. I went for a meeting. The meeting started with, hi, how are you? Nice, exchanging pleasantries. Look, I want a gamified induction module made on a dash game. The person mentioned a particular game which is very popular in the market those days, and that's it, start and end. You make it for me. And I was like, okay, who decided this? The person says, look, I like it. I said, great, you like it, but will your prospective inductees like it too? And we had a good discussion. Eventually the person realized just because you love something, others may not love it. Brainstorm, involve people, involve professionals. It will help you to get the elements right. Don't just jump onto a theme again. Shortlist 3 themes and create storyboards. Now this will be a little effortful. Yes, there's an effort to be done because you've got to create something wonderful. Effort goes into it. Shortlist 3 themes and create storyboards for at least some parts of the themes, their initial elements. So you can take a look at how the thing fans out. Some ideas look very great on the drawing board or on a discussion table, but when you actually go about implementing them, they may not come out the same way. Some ideas, on the contrary, look very bland when spoken about, but when you give them life, they look very nice. Develop storyboards, if not 3, at least 2. Then develop and test a prototype. Of those, choose one of the storyboards which you feel is like looking like the best, seems interesting. All of you agree? Develop a prototype and use it with a sample audience. Take a set of inductees. If a new batch of inductees is coming in, test it on one batch of inductees. Let them give a feedback to you, how they're feeling. Second batch, but be wary of the age groups, education, location, language learners, because one size never fits all. Sometimes we got inductees in Italy and inductees in India, and within India, somebody in Delhi, somebody in Chennai. So you will need to realize that sometimes you have to localize the game a little bit to give a feel which everybody enjoys. It doesn't cost too much of a time or effort to do it, but it gives you a nice feel to it. So don't go for a package solution, go for a customized solution with minimal effort, maximum connect to the audience as possible. And every time you get the feedback, incorporate the feedback and develop the alpha version eventually. After these 2-3 cycles of prototyping, your feedback is in place. Now the alpha version comes in, test that alpha version, the beta version and delivery. Those steps of course will be coming subsequently. But by the time you actually go into development of the module, you have got the genre right, you got the genre connected with the storyboard, with the prototype, with the audience, and you have tied up all the loose ends to the best extent possible, and the probability of having a highly engaging and productive gamified e-learning module is quite high. So remember, involve the target audience in every stage of the process. Target audience, the learners, of course, because the inductees, you may not be able to involve them in the initial brainstorming stage, but when you do prototyping, they're involved in the practical stage. So if they are not engaging well with the prototype, the theme has missed or the content has missed, something has gone wrong, that will help you to go back to the drawing board and set it right. So involve them. Don't create something without involving your target audience. That is the prospective inductees. So that was a quick short session from me in terms of how you can choose a genre, a game genre or a game type when you're going for gamifying your induction programs. Please don't just jump into the well and start swimming, because you go nowhere if you swim in a well, and eventually you might drown or you might get pulled out. Either way, it doesn't help us. So what you need to do is focus upon one. Do I want to gamify my induction programs? Give a thought to it. Second, go ahead, choose a genre, the kind of type I've shown you 5 here, which matches you. There could be more. Within that, how do you go about it? We discuss a few steps. And during this process of planning a gamified e-induction module, whether you're doing it by yourself, doing it with the help of a vendor, doing it with us, or thinking about it, or even just having a random shot at it, or you're already practicing it. If you have any thoughts or would like to discuss something, please always give me a call. My number is here. My cell number is here. So you can call me directly. There's no board line to go through. There is a board line, of course. You don't need to go through it. You can call me directly on my cell number, or you can mark a mail to me. This will reach me. And if you would like to experience some of our work, you can always visit us at excelprotein.com, and we're more than happy to connect with you. So today, that's all from me in terms of this particular little video on how to choose a game genre, and we discuss adventure. Shortly, in the next couple of days, I'm going to put across another video discussing the next element, the next genre. So I'll be covering all the 5, adventure plus 4. The other 4 elements are discussed with you, and I'll be discussing a few more in various small videos. So you don't have to go through 1 hour of video. Spend a few minutes, enjoy the experience, connect with the thought, apply it, and check out a new video. So this video is hosted on our Excel Pros YouTube channel, where you can also see some samples or videos of our Gamified Induction modules and Gamified Learning modules. If you like them, give us a call, speak to us, have a thought, call me again. So on that note, thank you very much. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. Bye.